All right, I'm going to start recording now. If that's okay.
Mhm.
What I plan to do is make a video of all of our presentations and put them on a private listing on YouTube, non-searchable listing, so that you can see others, you can see yourself, and share it with friends. Okay. Anything we need to talk about before we begin?
I think the only question I had was, is the presentation supposed to be 10 to 15 minutes? Is that what I read?
Yeah, if possible. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
And what I plan to do is ask you just to breathe and relax, and let's have a conversation about it. You'll do most of the talking. I may break in once or twice with some questions or observations, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. I definitely like that better than the formal, this is my project type setting. So
Okay.
I think this will go well.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm going to give you host control. Host, that's a good demon word, host. Okay. All right, you're now the host.
So I click share screen and then go to my PowerPoint, correct? And click
you double
share.
click it. Yeah. Oh, you found it. Good.
Let me see.
Shaloma.
So it has, you can see, okay.
Okay.
I don't know how to get it to the other view to where I can see the notes.
Do you need to see the notes?
I don't. Is it okay that I can't see them?
Is
that okay that you can't see them right now?
You want to see the presentation view, or you want to have the notes in front of you?
I don't know. Like, I know there's a way you can do both, and I was trying to figure it out, but you know what I mean? It shows the slides and the notes. I don't need to read the notes, but I wanted you to be able to see them.
Oh, okay. Well, you're going to upload this to Moodle by midnight tonight, and I'll read those at that. What this is for is mainly to hear your presentation.
Oh, okay.
The notes will have stuff. Yeah, the notes will probably have things that may be boring to hear, but so
yeah, okay. Honestly. Okay, so before I start this presentation, now that I've said that we're not gonna like look at the notes, is just pictures. So I promise the words are in the notes, but I'll talk through the slides if that's okay.
All right. If you'll click slideshow up there in the middle top and then go over and do presentation view. From beginning, there you go.
Okay.
All right.
So this is my presentation for my angelic figure, and I have named him Shaloma, which is derived from the word shalom that I had such a hard time pronouncing earlier, but I finally got it. I did some research, and you'll find that in the notes section of this project, but an interesting definition of the word that I found is how it is used by the Jewish culture, and it is used like different formats of the word, but it does mean peace, but it's also something that they say when they are departing or leaving, which I thought was interesting, and it was an interesting way to incorporate death into my figure. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in future slides.
Okay.
And so in this presentation, I'll be going over the need, the creation, the strength, and the weakness and the hope of my angelic being during a modern day global pandemic. So that's all the things I'm going to cover about Shaloma.
Okay.
So first is the need for a spiritual healer. I thought these images were just like, they just kind of took me back when I found them, especially the first one. And the second one is probably something that you've seen on the news or maybe on the internet. You know, it's just a picture of what the COVID virus would probably look like if you zoomed it in on a microscope. But the first image, and you can see it in the description in the little citation of the image, but it's actually, this is a snapshot from a video that was posted on a news channel that I found online, and it is mass cremation in India of deceased individuals from COVID-19. Yeah. And these are kind of like, it would almost be kind of what we would see in our cremation centers, the big, I don't know what you would call them, but you know, the huge things that we would cremate our deceased individuals in. It's kind of makeshift for them, and it's just what they had to do because of the crazy amounts of deaths. And the notes has a few quotes from the news reporter that wrote this website about just exactly how many deaths there were. This was specifically in April of this year, so pretty recent.
Yeah. As a side note to that, here's me being conversational. In 1976, I was in India, and I was on the Ganges River at the town of Benares or Varanasi, and they have these special places where they cremate the dead. And so there's a tradition of cremating the dead outside with a lot of wood thrown over them. But this picture is that scene from 1976 on serious steroids.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you know, the wood, the burning, you know, outside, that's typical. But have them, you know, looks like 30 in one place, 30 or 40 one time. That's amazing.
Yeah, the video, you could watch it if you were interested. If you just follow the link, it'll be right there, because this is actually just a snapshot from the video. It shows a lot more and explains a lot in depth about how they were kind of forced to do this mass cremation.
Okay.
So a little bit more on the need for a spiritual healer. The need was more or less when the virus turned from kind of this new disease that no one really knew much about into this serious illness that was killing some individuals, killing most individuals, and then others it was kind of treating them like they had the flu, and no one really knows or even knew why that is. So that's when the need for a spiritual healer came in, because there was just so much death, so much unknowing, so much pain. And you know, when individuals would be diagnosed or their family members would be diagnosed with COVID-19, it's like it's even still to this day, it's sort of like well, how is this gonna affect them? Because you know, it kills some people it just makes them kind of sick, and then some people are asymptomatic, they don't even know that they have it, and they only find it through routine testing. So that's when the need for this spiritual healer came in.
And imagine, I haven't seen your project, but I imagine with the new Delta variant being so much more contagious, and you know, but this need for a spiritual healer may be even more important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So next is the creation of the healer, which I call Shalom Ma. And these are some images that I found on Google and cited, of course, of what I would picture this being to look like. Although I explained in the notes that this isn't a being that you would see with your eye. Like, say you were in a hospital and your loved one was passing away, and you know, everyone was just trying to cope and thinking, you know, what am I gonna do? You wouldn't see Shalom Ma kind of standing there like, hey, you know, I'm here to offer some support. But he is seen mostly in dreams, or maybe in visions, or maybe even in prayers to whatever being that may be that you pray to. That's where I liked to incorporate religion into this presentation. You know, coronavirus, I talked about how in the notes that it doesn't discriminate between different religions. You know, it doesn't care about your race, or honestly even your gender, and then doesn't really care about your age, because it's been shown in all different ages. And it definitely doesn't care about, you know, what religion you practice. And so I talked a little bit about the creation of this angelic being. It is thought to have formed from the prayers of millions and millions of family members, or maybe those who were diagnosed with coronavirus. And it was never really, I don't know, like in the creation, I just thought of it kind of being as it was, sort of like, I don't know, I kind of compare it to the Big Bang Theory. You know how it's just kind of like, with that theory, it's just kind of like, boom, it happened.
Yeah.
Like through all the prayers and the different rituals that different, you know, religions practice to talk to their higher beings, and, you know, hope and pray and beg for healing and comfort the creation of Shalom just kind of happened. And
Okay.
so these pictures, the picture on the left is what I would imagine him to be like, you know, just kind of like a figure with no face and sort of feathery in a way, but very angelic and very white, and what you would imagine when you think of an angel. And
Yeah.
then the fourth figure is what I would imagine is sort of like Halo to be, which is shaped like a Delta. You know, we already talked about the Delta variant,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just kind of like a glowing gold halo.
Wow. Okay. I like it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And so here is the strength. I kind of combined it all into one, even though it can be, I guess, considered multiple strengths. So I talked about the strength of Shalomah kind of being the ability to bring comfort and peace and maybe even relaxation and acceptance of kind of, you know, what may come, even though, you know, like I said, with coronavirus, it's so unpredictable. It affects everyone differently. So I talked about that's the main strengths of this angelic being. And the images show kind of what, when I thought of peace, this is exactly what I thought of, and I'm sure many others as well, is the, you know, the angelic dove flying through the clouds in the sky. That sort of like paints a picture of peace to me. And then interestingly enough, the other image I found by searching for serene scenes, you know, of nature.
Yeah.
And I described it as, when I see this picture, I think of mountains, a sunrise, clouds, fog. Um, but it says it even in the link that that's actually a volcano, and it took me a long time to be able to see it. And a
Yeah.
volcano doesn't seem very peaceful, but when I see this picture, especially the fog and the sunset or sunrise, I just think of peace. And so I connected that to the place that Shalom would hope to take. Shalom would hope to take the people that he visits, like in their mind, you know, more of like a mental place of just kind of calming and like being okay, even though, you know, they could be passing away or their family members could be passing away from this scary virus.
All right.
I also talked a little bit about the good, maybe the opposite of evil, whatever term you wanted to use, but I used good to describe it. There's not a lot of good things that comes, you know, with death and loss and illness, and especially pandemics, but you know, those feelings of acceptance and those feelings of peace and comfort that you can feel when you're faced with situations like that is sort of the good, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
and all of the bad.
Thank you.
Then we have the weakness, and there is only one weakness of this being Shalomah, and that is bitterness. Bitterness is something that I have experience with in my life. You know, I've struggled with bitterness. I think in a way everyone has at least once, you know, but I've definitely struggled a few different times in particular with bitterness. And from my personal experience with bitterness, I really liked this quote that says, hurt leads to bitterness, bitterness to anger, travel too far that road, and the way is lost. So my bitterness has came, you know, from hurt or from tough situations, which, you know, has brought a lot of COVID-19 has brought a lot of individuals, you know, hurt and pain. And so I could imagine that could also lead, you know, to bitterness. And the reason that weakness is a bitterness for Shalomah specifically, and I mentioned this in the notes, and I also talked about this counseling website that talks about bitterness.
I see.
Is that bitterness leads to kind of hard-heartedness, so to say. I don't think that's a proper term, but it helps
Yes,
describe.
it is. Actually, it is. Yeah.
It helps describe what I was thinking. You know, a lot of times, especially, well, I know when I have been bitter, I've not really been open to receiving help, you know, even though I know that the help is what I need. You know, I'm just kind of thinking, why would God put this on me? Why me? Why am I in this situation? When COVID actually first became like a big ordeal, you know, when everyone was like, oh my gosh, this is serious, like we need to wear masks, all this type of deal. It was actually pretty soon after the mask mandate was, you know, pretty much ordered nationwide. My mom caught COVID, and it was when no one really knew what it was about. And my mom is not a very healthy person. And I was just terrified, you know, because this was way before we started back school and learned how to kind of take care of ourselves from it, and learned a little more about it. It was way before the vaccine. It was right when it first became a big pandemic, and I was just thinking, why me? And that's a terrible place to be. And it did turn me somewhat bitter, thinking, and I was hurt. It was more hurt than anything that, that this happened. And I was thinking, out of all the people I know, everyone has told me your mom is the first person I know with COVID, and how is she? And is she going to die? And just, it was just crazy. And so I said all that to say this, bitterness leads to closed-heartedness, and closed-heartedness leads to not wanting the help. And so Shalom refuses to force himself on people. And if you're not if you're not accepting and trying to feel those feelings of comfort, peace, calmness, that type of deal, then you can't, it can't really be forced. Like if you don't want to be, say, relaxed, or you don't want to be calm, or you don't want to try to experience comfort, then no one can really force it, And so I would say that that's his biggest weakness. And I would also say that bitterness isn't evil in this situation as well, because of all the negative, feelings and results that can come from being too bitter for too long.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I have the hope, and these pictures, I'll talk about them real quick because they're going to distract me if I don't. So on the left, this is a picture of, I don't know if you've ever been to Walt Disney World, but it's one of my absolute favorite places.
Yeah,
and
a long time ago. Yes.
Yes. And it is packed out like this so much, but I've seen pictures and heard stories and read articles about how these crowds definitely don't compare to the crowds that there are right now because of COVID, obviously. But this was in 2019. I found it in a news article online. So way before COVID was like, an issue. And it's just packed. I don't know. I tried to find what specific event this was from, and I couldn't find it, which disappointed me because the link literally says these are the best times to avoid the big crowd. So I thought it would tell me why the big crowd was there, but it could just be just any particular day, late summer, looks like an evening maybe. So
yeah, it could be July 4th.
Right. It could be. I was thinking about that too. And so I incorporated that a little bit into the hope so that we could get back to something like this, even though these crowds are terrible. And I thought it was interesting, kind of ironic how it says avoid grotesque, I think is how you pronounce that name. But I know it's just kind of like a synonym for like disgusting, for like, ugh. I know a lot of people that would love to be able to be in a crowd like this again and not be afraid that they're gonna, spread like a deadly virus. The next picture, I can't see it because our faces are on it, so I had to move it. But this is actually a poster that was posted around towns and communities during the Spanish flu of, I think it's 1918 is what I put.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
But it just says epidemic over, closing order goes off today. And it's just an announcement that everywhere is going to reopen. So maybe amusement parks, churches, libraries, that type of deal. They're going to reopen, but people are still urged to continue individual precautionary measures against disease. So I guess it's very similar to this time. I'm sure they were still encouraged to wear their mask if they felt like they needed to, because I thought it was so interesting how they wore masks then.
Yeah, that 1918 flu was much worse in terms of death toll around the world than COVID ever has been.
For sure. And so the hope specifically with Shalom, there's mainly two hopes. So this hope that I've talked about, that the pandemic will end and there's not really a need for him to step in and provide those forms of comfort and peace when families are having a hard time because of the death that is associated with this virus. And then also that another hope is that the families that he does reach to and provides those feelings of comfort, that type of deal, will not experience bitterness, but will be open and accepting to the feelings that he brings, and that all will be okay.
Okay.
And then there are my differences. I think one thing I meant to talk about was imagination, and I touched on it a little, but I didn't really use the term when I was explaining it, about how more or less in the creation of Shalom, but then also in the strengths and kind of like experiencing his presence, it's more of like an imagination, if that makes sense. So like I said, he's something you would experience in a dream. So I always connect dreams to like imagination, because
Yeah.
I feel like that's when my imagination specifically is running wild sometimes, you know. And then also through prayers, I would consider myself a very religious person, and I pray a lot. And so sometimes when I'm praying, and it could just be because my mind is not clear and I'm not really in the mental state to pray, but I'm just kind of praying because I feel like I should, which I know isn't always the best thing, but I think it's, better than nothing sometimes. But my mind tends to wander, and I start thinking about maybe I'm thinking about what I should be praying about or what I am praying about. And I know sometimes for me that I can even think of pictures in, my mind, or maybe situations that could happen, or maybe I'm thinking about outcomes of prayer instead of what I'm, really praying about. So that's how imagination would play into this.
I think, if you are a constant and frequent prayer, then even if you engage in prayer, even though your mind is elsewhere, I think the muscle memory of prayer would probably do you benefit, even though you may not feel connected to it at the time. So just the muscle memory of praying is probably as good as you can get at the moment.
I think too, of course, I've talked about this a lot, I know in my responses, but everyone's definition of religion is different. But my personal religion, not necessarily talking about like whether I'm Baptist or Christian or this, that, and the other, but like what I study, and what I focus on.
Yeah.
I like to think that, just because I know I'm a super busy person. A lot of people know that. I'm sure you know that. I've taken 3 summer classes, did an internship, and working full time, and moved out on my own this summer. So there's a lot been going on, but just the simple fact that I put in my mind that I need to take the time to pray, and I have taken that time and settled down. Even if my mind can't get there, I like to think that, God, who I pray to, still hears me and still thinks, I'm glad that she took that time for me. You know what I mean? But that's just that's my personal.
I get it. All right.
That's not everybody, but it's me.
That's all right. Okay. That's your last slide.
Yes.
Okay. Well, why don't we return me to the host, and then I'll stop recording.
Okay. How do I?
You go to participate. Okay, good. All right.
More. Is that all I had to do, or do I have to
Now
maybe
go to participants.
Okay.
And then click on me and make me the host.
Okay. Let me see if I can make it full screen. Participants. More.
Yeah, under more.
Yes.
Okay, you did it. All right. So I'm going to stop the recording. All right. Can you see that?
Oh yeah, perfect.
All right. And you hear me okay? You hear me okay and all that?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So, okay. Anything else? Any preliminary words? If not, let's do this.
Yeah, just a short little handful. So the way that I made the PowerPoint was almost inspired from like kind of a high school project my brother did, where they had to make a children's book on like a political topic.
Got it.
And I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool, because there's so many like anthropomorphic images of like lines in Disney movies and
Yes.
other kind of stuff like that, to kind of make it in that format. So like some slides I'll be reading kind of word for word, and then adding extra stuff to like would be in the notes technically, just because it's kind of like a storybook narrative.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. First slide. Next slide then is, let's see.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So the origins of the character, I have like the date of birth, and the character was born in poverty and had a lot of scarcity in the character's life. And this led him to be malnourished and to always want more because he had so little.
Yeah. Okay.
So then, because the lion worked hard, you know, the dream of the jungle, the typical American dream, it prevailed, and
Yeah.
he decided, I get to go to get education in the jungle because I've proven myself and I need to learn new skills rather to help my community, and maybe learning these skills, I can help my local community.
Okay. You're doing a good summary job. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So then, however, the lion becomes a predator, starts to become a predator through the mentorship that he's receiving. So right here, can you see my mouse or no? Because I'm not screen sharing.
No, I can't.
Well, the picture to the right is
Yeah.
a lion from the Disney movies, and he's like this cunning lion of the jungle.
Yes.
Historically in those movies, but the lion character, he works at a prestigious food bank. So, you know, they're a bank in the jungle. Animals rely on food, and sometimes, you know, animals like birds or even other lions, they don't have access to food, so they need to borrow it. But the people who are running this prestigious food bank, they, you know, have a mentality of benefiting themselves in this fierce competition.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So the rise of an apex predator. The lion starts learning these strategies from the other cunning lions that are all, you know, gaining wealth for themselves. And he thinks, well, I myself was poor. I understand these people. Everybody else is doing this. And the lion ruthlessly starts accumulating wealth for himself.
Okay. So it's like a deal with the devil.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The lion says, he starts believing in this mentality of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. He, as a malnourished lion, did so, and he, you know, starts losing empathy for his local community members that he was once more attached to, because he's like, these people, they weren't worth my time.
Yeah.
I'm better than them. And then this is a political cartoon that I think does good justice to the pull yourself up by the bootstraps falsehood.
Yeah. All right.
So the start of an empire out of the desire, I've got to move my little box, for greater private wealth. The food bank could only take the hungry lion, but so far. His appetite was far larger than when he began. Thus, he made the move to sell books throughout the jungle community. Books where knowledge is kept. Books made of paper and easy to ship. Books made of paper that will make me rich. Books, 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 where my empire will begin.
All right.
And in just a little thing on the last slide, the picture with the books filled with money kind of shows how this creature starts viewing books as, instead of a source of knowledge, where he himself got most of his knowledge, as a source of profit.
Yeah. Can you say Amazon?
So then expansion. The lion was still hungry, very, very, very hungry. His books were a great start, and the infrastructure was set. What was next? What was next was expansion, the sale of diverse goods in a timely manner. But how could the lion do this? Selling books was one thing, But everything? How could one lion sell everything?
Mm.
So the lion, he examines the client's motivation and he starts to think. You know, he knows the lion knew that people wanted products quickly. The lion knew they wanted everything from books, food, housewares, entertainment, and much more. The lion heard complaints of his customers, make it faster, cheaper, better. He must give them more. That's what they want. That's what they'll get. More for them was more for him. Their imaginary needs. Oh, their needs. I want this and that and fast. Well, that's what I'll do. But the lion didn't know how. He howled. And then in the right-hand corner, we have a picture of the instant gratification race.
Yeah.
You start the race, you instantly finish it and get a free t-shirt.
Yep. Everybody gets a medal.
Yes, sir. So the means of expansion. I know how. I'll make the weaker creatures work for me. This is the jungle and everyone has a role. The jaguar is fast and will deliver my goods just like that. The elephant is strong. He will pack and lift the boxes. The birds are detail-oriented and work quickly. It's the jungle and I'm in control. So the picture shows a Noah's Ark image that I found online that I thought was cool. But the image was like in a factory and it has, you know, all the animals in it. And, you know, from those stories, every animal has a specific role kind of idea.
Okay.
So further expansion. Oh, what a success. My bookstore is now the largest distributor of, well, everything. Now I will expand to jungle after jungle. I'll save cost on the factory labor of making the goods, as other jungles pay less. And why should I pay more? I'm the lion. Let's expand. This was my master plan.
Mhm.
So then the lion, he runs into these expansion annoyances. Oh, there will always be animals who do not know their place. I want more and to work in better conditions, they say. Well, the lion is the apex predator for a reason. Do what I say and get the work done even faster. I mean, it's for the common good. Isn't your local communities my largest consumer? How can you be mad that I turned the jungle into a civilized zoo?
Mhm.
So then in the right-hand corner, I have a picture of a screaming gorilla in a zoo that kind of shows the anthropomorphic and imagined
Mhm.
evils associated with, you know, this very unethical factory working conditions.
Okay. Yeah.
So the loving lion. If it's evil to give everyone everything at the touch of a button, call me evil. I provide more than any other animal. I control the economy. I am the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Imagine me how you will. Your tears mean nothing because at the end of the day, you are nothing. Nothing more than a branch on a tree in my jungle. You see, I wanted you, the jungle. I warned you, the jungle is dangerous. It's called the wilderness after all. After your toilless labors, go home. You'll be able to buy some of my wonderful products and escape through reality you have created yourself.
Mhm. Blame that victim.
A message from El Jefe de la Jungula. I love to feast on your needs. You need me, and I provide everything. I am the boss of the jungle. You are nothing more than a slave to your imaginary consumeristic desires. Buy something, please. It feels so good. Escape the jungle for a moment. Your meaningless job and unsatisfactory dull life. I provide the opium of instant gratification, a smile on a box, the only one you'll ever have. And I always am just a click away. Why so serious? Let's put a smile on your face. So I put the picture of the Joker from The Dark Knight, and the idea, you know, it's one of the Joker's most famous quotes in the movie, Why So Serious?
Exactly, yes.
And the idea is this anthropomorphic evil creature the clown, or are you the clown for giving into the like
Yes.
economic stuff that he's done?
What if the answer is yes?
I think the answer lies in the middle, honestly, like most things.
I was saying yes to both.
Yeah.
All right.
So I can go to space. I can imagine the world and reflect on my life. Why see poverty on Earth when I can view the universe like a god? And then again, I incorporated the movie The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
It's one of my personal favorite movies.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
quote says, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. And it begs the question of, did the jungle make this lion creature? What if the jungle was more nurturing? What if the jungle had easier barriers to things like community service and ethical business dealings? Like I myself, with my major of community and nonprofit leadership, constantly question this. And I face a lot of pressures from family, friends, whatever, to, you know, maybe not pursue that community nonprofit leadership. After all, you know, you won't make any money. You may be more passionate about that, but why not get a job in personal finance or marketing? You're really good at these things. And that's something that I struggle with. And then I had a picture on the right of God, you know, holding the earth. I just thought that was appropriate. And then there's a link, like a YouTube link to a song that I put in there if you want to play like part of that. It's like a 3-minute song.
You want to do that now, you mean?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, gotta get through the ads
I'm
first.
definitely more of a hands-on learner. It's a new kind of classroom.
So you can pause the song if you want, but
Okay, I'll get out of that. Thank you.
yeah, so that was, I believe it's like a classic religious song. And I thought that it was just kind of appropriate for this last slide and kind of tied everything together of how we anthropomorphize humans as gods because of their economic power. We do this with politicians and any prominent figure, whether it's an athlete or anything, we kind of idolize those people.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so that's the last slide.
Yeah, after that,
Okay.
it's like I put in a resource for, the music link, and then there, if you click again, there's a resource page. A lot of my ideas, like especially in the notes, they were inspired by like The Dark Knight, those images. So I wanted to give the movie the credit as well.
Okay.
And then also Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. I can never say his name.
So where did Fight Club that's one of my favorite stories. Where did Fight Club come into your story today?
It was kind of, it's definitely in the notes section, when it talks about like the dullness of life
Yeah.
and how people are expected to work these jobs they have no passion for.
Yeah.
And I incorporated like the thoughts of like, I put it in one of my posts in your class, like a copy of a copy.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite book of all time, and in my top 3 favorite films. I've
Yeah.
watched it many times.
Yeah. What's the quote in that? We buy crap we don't need to impress people with money we don't have to impress people that we don't know, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And I felt like it was very appropriate to cite the book,
Yeah.
and I intentionally cited the book rather than say the movie, because the book is in much more detail. Like I've read the book.
Yeah.
Then
I
the
read the
movie.
book too.
And I feel like it is more fair to give the author more credit than the director or whomever, because he is the one, and he has many brilliant books, one of which I'm trying to read this summer, maybe if I have time. But he's just a brilliant man, and I've listened to a podcast with him, like a full 2-3 hour podcast. Brilliant man. And
Mhm.
really, the whole point of my slideshow, I didn't want to say explicitly this character is good or bad, because
Yeah.
I've learned in your class, it's more in the middle. Like most things in life, everything's in the middle. And you never know what, say, a business person has gone through in their life that may have not been fair, that has made them now treat people with less empathy and stuff. And I'm not into the idea, of like victim blaming people or anything, but I do feel like to an extent, Americans as a whole are responsible largely for the consumeristic, materialistic ideals that we've historically had. They've kind of bought into it. And a lot of Americans, especially young people, it gives me hope that we're kind of moving away from that, and want to have meaningful work and live. Like me personally, I want to live in one of those cute little tiny houses, like small little houses, and one of those intentional kind of living areas, and work with people and work for people. That's what I want to do. I don't know how successful I'll be at doing that, or even, quite frankly, if I'll ever get the opportunity to do so in a meaningful way. But all I can do is try. That's what I say.
Keep the dream alive. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
As long as you keep reading Fight Club and others by that, I think you'll go farther down the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
This has been really wonderful.
I appreciate that.
I'm going to stop recording now. Do that, and then share the screen. No, I don't share my screen. I share your screen. Go to participants. You're now the host.
Awesome. Okay, let me go share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
can you see it?
Oh, look at that. Perfect.
Okay. Okay, do you want me to just start whenever?
Yes. And take a deep breath, say, let's have some fun, and here we go.
Okay, so my creation, I decided to call it them god Akaika. The origin of the name for Akaika, it's actually a really popular Hawaiian name, which is
Yeah.
more to deal with also like another reason for the origin, which I'll go on later further. But the name also means strong and powerful. So that's another reason why. But so for the origin, as far as who they are, two really big pop culture references that helped influence this was the movie Moana. In the movie Moana, there is the goddess Tafiti. She like starts to influence their crops and also certain islands starting to deteriorate because of a stone that was stolen from her. And so that's one thing that helped influence me creating this creation. And along with also Avatar The Last Airbender, the reason is because there are they control the natural elements, earth, wind, and fire, and air. So both of those, I really love Disney movies, and I also really love Avatar Last Airbender. So kind of put them together to help create this creature. Along with that, my worldview and my religion were also two really big things that helped influence this. So my worldview tends to be more left on the side of the spectrum. So that's how climate change became a really big thing for me to make this creature affect. Since I like to be a really big advocate for climate change and climate change actually being real and things that we can do to help stop it from occurring. And then also my religion, the creature that I made tends to be more similar to the Christian God. And by certain things that trigger their powers is certain things that also the Christians tend to believe that our God also does as well. So it's also a short way of summing it up is just the Christian God and Mother Nature combined into one. So as far as their appearance, I could not really find anything that helped replicate what it is. As far as how I think God Akaika looks, it's not anything too complicated. I tend to have some anthropomorphism into using how it looks, similar to how we Christians feel God looks. Most Christians think that God looks human. I also think God Akaika also looks human. So it's that same thing, that parallel there. However, though, I don't think that there is a level of heaven and hell as far as how my religion affects it. I think of it more than being up in a little spaceship, kind of watching over Earth. And as far as what we're doing. So I don't really think that there is something to do with that. That's just kind of what I think they do. So they're just sitting up there, just kind of watching down on us, similar to how God also watches down as far as what Christians believe.
Yeah, just one suggestion. If you wanted to anthropomorphize that, you could have it an eye in the sky.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's also a really good one too.
Okay.
So that gets into their powers. So the big thing that they do is they cause climate and environmental disasters to occur. However, though, depending on certain events that we're doing as humans, they also can cause blessings. So either good or bad, aka like good and evil that we've talked about previously in the class. They don't do just one. They're not an angelic or demonic creature. They do both. So depending on what we are doing, like if we are doing evil and we're trashing the earth and using non-renewable resources, then they're going to cause more earthquakes or volcanic eruptions or hurricanes and also like extinctions with animals. However, though, if we are recycling and using good energy sources, then they can, if you use your imagination, they will cause animals to become unextinct, but they also can affect crops and us being able to provide for the earth and living in peace and harmony. So their powers are triggered by them always watching. That's another Disney reference from Monsters, Inc. with the lady that used to sit at the desk and say that she was always watching.
Yeah.
So they're just sitting up there in their spaceship always watching. However, though, another thing that I like to think that they have is they have little angels or demons. Obviously, whichever one someone thinks that whether they think that they're angels or demons might affect how they like their own worldview on God Akaika, because if they think that, like, if their home was destroyed by a natural disaster, they're going to think that their little helpers are more demonic than angelic because they're snitching on them trashing the earth. But like, I kind of like to think them as flying creatures, but more natural, so like bats or birds. Obviously birds would be more on the good side and bats might be more of on the evil side, but I also think that there's also a parallel between them being flying creatures, like how also angels and demons can sometimes be inferred as flying creatures as well. So I thought that that was interesting that I thought that as well, like with them flying.
Yeah.
So as far as them coming into this place of having power and what they do, humans were really trashing the earth, and they just kind of appeared how God appeared, and they were just called to do this, formed. So there's not really like something that made them occur. They weren't birthed like Spider-Man or anything like that, or like got bit by a spider. They're not like that, at least as far as how I believe they do. But however, their job must be done, and they just always are there, because since this is something that is a common trend for us to trash the earth, that's just something that they always do all day. Like, it's just like always there, kind of just like how like Christians think that God is always there.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing. So
Go back, please.
oh yes.
How are they desperately needed?
So that also has to do with my worldview and my own bias as using the word desperately, just because if things keep going on the same path as they are, then eventually there won't be any more earth, then we won't be able to survive here.
Okay.
So it was just like a calling almost for them to be desperately needed.
Okay.
Some type of regulation. So like this idea of their job must be done, and like karma, kind of like how you treat the earth is how I'm going to treat you.
Mhm.
That's why
Yeah.
they're doing this, because there will always be people that are going to just do evil to the world. So if that's the case, then doing evil back to them might teach them to actually treat the earth good.
You really think that works?
I am using my imagination to think that it does work.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. And then so that's just what their main goal is. These two pictures kind of show a good way of doing it. It's like a
Yeah.
balancing act, them trying to balance the good and the evil and make sure that there's not too much evil. Obviously, there being too much good is a better thing than too much evil. But the quote that I had found that's at the bottom,
I like it.
you will never understand the damage you did to someone until the same thing is done to you. That's why I am here, karma. I feel like that's what their motto would be.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the golden rule right
yeah.
there.
Yes, the golden rule. Yes, that's what their motto would be. So,
Yeah.
and then that is all that I have. Do you have any questions?
You mentioned they, but the title seems to imply one. So
I know.
is it one or many?
Well, I wanted to use they because I don't necessarily think that they have a gender in my head. I mean, like, even though I want to think of them being a man, but also that has to do with the fact that I see God being more manly than more feminine.
Mhm.
So I like the Christian God being more manly than feminine. So I feel
Sure.
like I just said they, but just because I don't really.
But there's one, or
Oh no, it's just
many?
one. There's only
Okay.
one.
Yeah, I've been toying with the idea of with transgender issues becoming more and more current.
Yes.
Start referring to God as they.
Yeah. Sometimes I always refer to people as they.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't know, like, oh, like they said this, and they're like, why do you? So I get asked the same question a lot, very often. It's just a common thing that I do.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. So the useful. Okay. I think it can be bad and good.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. And I assume that the notes section will have a lot more details, right?
Yes, and definitely like a lot of information as far as like getting in depth about like Christian religion, and also like how karma comes into place with like the influence for
All right.
she to be this way.
All right. Let's see if I can stop recording.
Okay.
Oh no. Can you give me back the host, please?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna stop recording here in a minute.
I remember how to do that. but
Go to participants.
oh,
You
make
click on your name or my name. My name, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Got it. All right. So I'm now stopping the recording. Let me do this. And then what kind of computer are you operating with, please?
Just a Mac.
Okay. Just a Mac. Okay. All right. Let's see. Chat. Okay. Participants. Okay. You're now the host. So click the share screen and choose your,
Okay.
okay.
That's a lot easier than I thought.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Good.
How do I make it?
So then we'd have to do.
Yeah, go to the
Okay.
presentation. There you go.
Whoa. It's loading. There we go. I guess I'll win.
Oh, nice. Okay. And I assume that this is not going to show you the notes page, but I assume on the notes page you have lots of information.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Then once we're done, do you just want one of us to email this to you?
Can you upload it to Moodle?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that'd be good. All right. And that's by 11:59 tonight.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And in fact, if you, as we go through this, if you want to make any changes, feel free to do that and then upload it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You got the microphone.
Okay. Okay, so Chase and I chose to take our imagination, our journey onto a pressing issue in society today,
Yeah.
which is COVID, obviously. It's definitely a problem today, and we felt like we should address it in maybe a fun way for this class. So this was created by SNELSON and Chase McPherson. Okay, so first off, we were gonna do a description kind of slide. So COVID is a demonic character or an evil character we chose. It's gonna prey on humans and animals, most of the time in highly populated areas, but pretty much anywhere. The superpower is gonna be infecting people with a virus that can have many different effects. And the specialty is blending in with the surrounding crowd. So it doesn't matter where across the globe that we chose a he is going to be
Okay. All right.
disguised as a human. He can blend in anywhere and infect any type of population.
All right.
And we chose to call him the Beast whenever he turns into, whenever he can affect a bunch of people. In highly populated areas mostly.
Okay, you could tell how it gets into highly how it starts up.
Yes, that would be on the next slide.
Oh, okay. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'd just like to have a conversation if that's okay.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect.
All right. So like the backstory. So how we started it out is there's the COVID infection virus was kept in top secret lab in New York, guarded by security guards and everything like that. So one day, one of the guards who's just there gets a little curious, wants to go see what's in there. He brings out this canister so he can go open it up at his house to figure out what's inside of it. And next thing you know, SEAL Team 6 comes in and raids the area. And while he's trying to run away from SEAL Team 6, the canister drops, opens up, and breaks. And one of the members gets infected from SEAL Team 6. So then once he's infected, he goes rogue so he can isolate and be by himself. And he's in the streets of New York spreading the virus without even knowing.
Yeah.
And then as time goes on, he realizes that he has this infection in him and realizes that he's infecting people, and he has to learn how to cope with this new ability or infection almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he figures out he can use it to his advantage. But we're going to go over that here in just a second on this next slide.
Okay.
Okay, so the virus obviously is continuing to mutate in his body. And this gives him the ability to turn into the beast, which we called it. And he can affect people within like a mile radius.
That's a big area. Yeah.
Yes. So he has to figure out how to control it. And he learns that he can control his new ability.
Oh.
He's able to choose who he infects and how bad the side effects will be,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you're going to ultimately end up dying and things like that. So after he realizes that he has the ability to do that, he starts to think about, how who has betrayed him throughout his life.
This is the SEAL 6 member?
Yes, sir.
Oh boy. Okay.
So whoever's betrayed him, he's got a lot. So he kind of turns evil into an evil character, and he begins to go out across the world and think about who else betrayed him throughout his life. And
I can imagine he might start in Afghanistan.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
He could choose who he affects and how it affects them, and if they're going to end up in the hospital or dying or anything like that.
Okay.
All right. So the next one, we did like the weakness or kryptonite.
Yeah.
Because when I think of a superhero or villain, I think of like all the most known ones. Superman has kryptonite.
Yeah.
So like the weakness, like its weakness would be like the lockdown, the mask, the gloves, the social distancing, all that. And then its kryptonite really would be the vaccines. So then we were thinking about that worldview would affect how each area of the world deals with like its weakness and how they responded to it. Because in China, before COVID even hit, it wasn't uncommon for people to be walking the streets with surgical masks already on.
Yeah.
And if you're in a more rural area like Mars Hill, like where Ty is from, you're already more social distanced. But then if you're from like where I'm from, Raleigh, it's a lot harder to social distance, and people look at it different ways too. And then it's also a worldview or like a religion thing, depending on if you're allowed to get like vaccines or something, because there's some religions that are against it, or like getting like certain medical treatments.
Or getting blood, having like transfusions or things like that. Because I know in the hospital, a lot of times they'll do transfusions with people who have the antibodies.
Yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses have, they might, I wonder how they accept what they would do. They do, but they have really developed a bloodless surgery.
I know they can't do blood, Jehovah's Witnesses. They can't give or donate. Yeah,
but because of that, they've developed a highly developed technology in hospitals. It's used a lot in hospitals that goes towards bloodless surgeries. That's not part of the report, but I've learned this.
That's very interesting, though.
Yeah.
And we also chose any kryptonite or anything would be the vaccine, any of the vaccines, because vaccines may not fully prevent getting the virus, but it can like weaken it and like heighten down the symptoms, stuff like that. So,
by the way, are you two vaccinated?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Fascinating.
Yeah, it was a big ordeal with football coming in.
Yeah, I heard the coaches were pretty heavy on it. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
And we had any questions from you or?
Okay. Let's see. So this is the last slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, when you talk about the superpower, and you talked about it mutating a little bit, I'm wondering if one of its superpowers might be a kind of a shapeshifter.
Well, it would be a very good one.
Yeah. The mutation's kind of a shapeshifter. So just wonder if there might be a little superpower there, and it'd be on the microscopic level, which is what mutation's all about. I mean, look at this Delta variant. It's just crazy. Yeah. Okay, that's about all the question I had.
That's very good.
Yeah.
That's a very good thought.
Yeah.
He's traveling all around the world. That would be pretty cool to be shape shifting into different ethnicities and things like that.
Yeah, and and that would explain the transfer maybe from bats in China into human beings in China.
Oh yeah, like from animal to human.
Yeah, but to go from the alpha to the beta, gamma, and I think they even have the lambda variants now. So indicates a kind of shapeshifter, almost like this thing's intelligent.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I don't have any other question. Let's see. You just get that uploaded. I'll be grading these tomorrow, and hopefully I got to have the grades in by either Tuesday or Wednesday, but I hope to have them in by tomorrow night. No, Sunday night, because I got a little minor surgery on Monday morning. So
Okay. Well, we hope all that goes well.
oh, thank you. Just the hernia stuff. You weightlifters know about hernias, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right then. Thanks so much, and it's good to have you in class. Really good.
How do I give you the host back?
Okay. How?
Yeah.
Click on participants and click on my name and put more.
Yep. Okay, I got it.
Egg host.
There you go. Just so I don't end your
Okay.
whole Zoom link.
No, you're fine. I was going to cut off. Okay, I got it back. Thanks so much.
Yes,
Yep,
sir. Have a
thank
good
you.
one.
Good morning. Bye-bye. I'm going to start recording, and I'm going to give you hosting rights. And see what happens. You're now host.
Cool. Screen share. Hold on, my computer set up to where it's not letting me share screen.
It's not.
Yeah, but it's just like something on my end.
Okay. There's a couple of workarounds.
I'll try again real quick. Oh, here we go. Okay.
Excellent. Anfangen Scheiße. I think I
Okay.
understood that one.
You got a little sneak peek before I started. Okay.
Okay, spoiler. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is
All right.
my D. Okay, so Anfangen Scheiße, his name comes from the German words to begin and the inappropriate word for
Yes.
what we do of
Yeah.
how we, yeah. So he is a small, fly-like creature with the mouth of a human and the ears of a bat, and he has the power to shapeshift into 3 different forms and also the power to shrink and to get in people's heads. And this is what he looks like.
Wow. Okay. Is that actually bat wings on it?
Bat ears, yeah.
How'd you do that?
I use Snapchat and cut out pictures and
Okay.
put
All right.
together.
And I love the lips.
Oh,
Okay.
so these are his forms. He has a worm form, a normal form, and then a human form. So I chose his normal form as a fly with bat ears and a human mouth because flies are everywhere. So they hear what I'm assuming they hear. I'm not sure if they actually hear.
Like, well.
They're around during the worst. And then I chose him to have bat ears because bats have the greatest ears out of any animal on the planet. And then I used a human mouth because humans are one of the only beings able to verbally communicate with words. And then his worm form is to represent an earworm. And when he is spreading false information and wants it to stick in people's heads, this is the form he uses. And then his human form is a politician because politicians are usually the people who are spreading false information, and we do heavily rely on them and support them, especially when they do line up with our own worldviews.
Okay.
And then his creation story. So, so he emerged from the October 2020 presidential debate between former Vice President Mike Pence and current Vice President Kamala Harris, and he started because he just heard all of the false information and news being spread around, and then also most false news is of the political category. So I just thought that it was fit for him.
Okay.
So his purpose is to cause mass mania by making people with different worldviews butt heads. And when he does this, he feeds off the mass mania he causes, and he grows stronger, and he is able to spread false news faster, more efficiently, and things like that.
Nice. I love the picture.
His targets are gullible and uneducated people, or people who are not willing to change their worldviews or accept that there are other worldviews.
Yeah.
And then his enemy, of course, are educated people who realize that their worldview is not the only worldview in the world, and fact check their sources and things like that, and try, even though it might not be possible today, to stay away from biased news sources.
Powerful pictures.
And the only way to end him is to stop the spread of false information by checking our sources and realizing that there are going to be people with different worldviews, with different races, with different religions, and that if we continue to do this, then we're just going to disconnect further. And he likes that disconnect. So thank you.
Okay. All right.
And here are my sources I'll use.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. Why don't you give me back the hosting? Okay, good. We're going to record for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to just take recording off and say a few words, and then I'll be over. Okay. This is good. So what about normal people like you and me who have confirmation biases? You ever heard of confirmation bias?
No.
Confirmation bias is that anybody, just about everybody, including you and me, will pretty much reproduce the views that we want to reproduce and disregard the views that we want to disregard. We want to be confirmed in our own biases, so we only hear or listen to that which we agree with.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be, if I had a TV, I would not be looking at a certain channel of cable news, and you probably wouldn't be either, because it caused too much. So we turn on the channel that most agrees with our biases. So how do you is that?
Well, I mean, I figured if we're the same, we're people who don't want to listen to other people's opinions and stuff. We would just be as susceptible to catching him as anybody else would.
Yeah.
In a perfect world.
Say what?
We're in a world where people don't actually do this and don't need compensation.
But we're all in a bubble of our own making.
Yeah.
I do a lot of public speaking, especially in very liberal faith organizations like Unitarian Universalist, and they're full of liberals, and I am too, but they just think that the other side is so dumb, stupid, and evil.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what the other side thinks of the left. So, but it is equally vitriolic, equally hateful on both sides.
For sure.
Yeah. So I think we need the Anfangenscheiße to replicate itself a lot. How does it do sex, by the way? I'm sorry, don't answer that question. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me stop recording. Okay. I can't read. Okay, I can't do that. Somehow you still have control over the recording, but that's okay. Don't worry.
I can if you want me to.
What?
I can stop it.
Oh,
want me to?
don't worry about it. When we sign off, it'll stop and it'll come back to me.
Okay.
Okay. I was looking at your grades. They're quite good. I think this is going to be you're either in the A or the A+ range, if that's okay with you.
That sounds perfect with me.
Okay. All right. It's been wonderful to be with you.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed your class very much.
I learned a lot from this course. This is the first time I've ever had this particular final project. And so I hope it worked well. If you have any thoughts, and also if you haven't filled out that form that the college sends out a form on course evaluation. So if you
Already
haven't, what?
Already did it.
Okay, all right then. Thank you so much. Well, Jaylin, I hope our paths meet.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully I'll take another class.
Yeah, or you know, when we're back on, do you come to campus much?
Yeah, I live on campus. So.
Okay, you're a regular student then.
Yeah, I'm also a bonder, and
you're a
when
bonder?
and I was told that you're an honor bonder. So.
Oh, I love bonders. Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I was in the community partners lunch yesterday. You know that.
Yeah.
Deb and others had their, you know, this once a year community partners lunch, and I was there. Okay.
Yeah. I love them.
Well, okay, then we'll see each other. Well, I'm sure we'll see each other a lot. So look forward to sharing a cup of coffee or tea with you somehow. Okay.
Yes, sir. I don't have to record on mine, right? Like the voiceover.
No, that's correct. Yeah, just you know, you can send it in as long as you got the notes. You got the notes on there.
Yeah.
Okay, you can upload it right now if you'd like.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh.
Now recording, and let's share. Let's see. Make host.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Well, actually, it's not. It didn't give me an option to share my screen.
Well, you're not just a co-host. You're not a co-host. You are the host right now.
Trying to see, because it did it last time, but let me share it last. No, that's not. I don't know. Let me see if it's in my drive, because maybe it will be. I don't know.
If you can email it to me, or maybe put it on a Google Drive and link me to it, that'd be good plan B.
Well, I had put it up on Moodle.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let me go to Moodle. Hang on, please.
I don't know why it's not letting me do it this time. It let me do it with my aunt, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've been having some new problems with Zoom today myself. What kind of device are you using right now?
It's an iPhone.
Okay.
And it let me do it. Like me and my aunt did it last night and everything because she wanted to kind of help me out with the notes section. I was trying to figure out that real quick, and I had a feeling she could help me. She's a teacher too, so.
Okay. All right. Okay, I got yours here. Let's see. Um, okay. The
unclaimed, also called Azakon.
Okay. Now, are you able to give the screen control back to me, please?
That I do not know how to do. Meeting.
Okay. Let's see, all right, let's see here. Yeah, will not let me get it back. Well,
I think I got it.
What?
I think I got it.
Okay.
There we
All right,
go.
do those now. Yay. Well done.
I went to participants and I did it.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's do this. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm in charge of the advancing this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Azakon, anything you want to say before we move to the next slide?
Azakon are sorry. My brain's going dead real quick.
Okay.
Azakon are angelic and demonic.
Okay. And
they help out to help us make decisions in tough situations.
okay, tough situations. All right. All right. The backstory. All right.
Mm-hmm. They first had appeared when chaos had happened and in this world, and in 2020 they were said to have show you good and bad outcomes of what you can choose and do.
So it's kind of in advance.
Yeah.
Okay.
This happens in seconds, and you can choose to do the good or the bad. And the more good you choose, the more they start influencing you to do more good. And the more bad you choose, the more bad they start influencing.
Oh.
And as time goes on, they start forming into angelic or demonic.
Yeah.
If you start choosing more bad or good decisions, then they become more angelic or demonic the more you choose it. This is where they get their names. The Azakon is an angelic and demonic angel name.
Oh, good. Okay. So like instant karma.
Yeah.
You can foresee. And also, it would also appear that there'd be no unintended consequences.
No.
So if you see yourself doing something, then you can see, I guess, side consequences in case something goes sideways.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. I like it. All right.
The Azakon are children of fallen angels. They feel the need to help and hurt, and they want to do good and evil in the world, but they're very undecisive, and they don't know who they are on the inside at first.
Okay.
And from birth they were castaways as children, and even with friends they were castaways. So
Okay. So where do they live before they come to Earth?
That one I did not put down, but
That's okay. It's all right.
I think I'll put that.
It's not critical to. Okay.
Yeah.
Next slide.
Yeah. Should have thought about that one. Oh, for this one, I ended up describing how they looked like, and I wanted to talk about how the different worldviews.
Okay.
Some people can see them as, I guess you say, gods or animals or humans. There are many different kinds out there that they could see them as. But the colors they start off as is gray. And people can see and tell that they are lost inside. But as they help out more with you choosing your decisions, good and bad, and them influencing you, they become angelic or demonic. With angelic, they become more positive and bright and white and gold. With demonic, they become more fierce and dark and black and red.
Okay.
So.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Their powers, how they work is they help you imagine the different possible outcomes, good and the bad, and you decide which one to do at first, and then they start influencing you more the more you choose good or bad.
Oh yeah, cool.
And as you go on, they end up turning to demonic and angelic.
Okay. I imagine that it'd be good to have on a first date, wouldn't it?
Yes.
or whether you decide to take a first date or not.
Yep, whether you decide to.
Okay,
yep.
Cool.
But it's mainly it happens mainly in severe, well, you could go to the next slide, because this is what I'm going to talk.
Okay.
It happens mainly in severe situations and life-changing decisions. So like a date wouldn't really be one. It'd be more dropping out of college or staying in is what I had put. Like you can succeed better in different points of that, or you can fail in different points in that and live in the streets.
Yeah.
But the Azakon ends up touching you gently, sort of like to comfort you, and then they show you the images of the moments of what could happen, and this only takes seconds, but it feels like hours or days or whatever. And this helps you make your decisions faster and better.
Do you have your own Azakon? Does everybody have their own Azakon, or
yes.
do they? Okay, so 7 billion people, 7 billion Azakons.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a lot of Azakons. Okay, next slide.
Yes. How it's useful is it helps you make decisions faster and better. It also helps the Azakons become more angelic or demonic, because at first they don't know who they are, and then as time goes on they do. And it helps you see the different possibilities of what could happen instead of being in the dark. It makes you become a better person and make different changes in your life by knowing how you're making it and why. And it allows for a second chance for you to do better and everything, because you can choose to do the good ones or the bad ones.
I like that last one, form of redemption. Well, yeah, say more about the form of redemption based upon religion.
If you don't believe in redemption or whatever, then it's more like a second chance.
Oh, okay.
A redemption to me is more like a second chance. So like it's
True. Okay.
And I know with God and everything, he allows redemption. So
yeah. Okay. Next slide.
Yes. What happens to the human based on your worldviews, you can choose to do good or evil. And with this, I wanted to do an example of the water and the fire.
Mhm.
So you carrying 2 buckets, water and water and gasoline. That's
Yeah.
what it is. And you can choose to take out the fire with water or make the fire worse with gasoline. In this example, the fire is the situation or a problem, and you could either choose to help the situation or make the situation worse.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And maybe not just on the left side, maybe not just pouring water on a fire, but also just pouring water on something to, to, if it's too dried out, like a plant or something.
Yeah.
to help it grow. Okay. Good. Next.
And as you make these decisions, the azonic ends up azakon, sorry.
Yeah.
The azakon ends up becoming angelic or demonic, and it influences you more to do bad things or good things based on which one you choose to do more. They also become more positive or negative in your life, and they end up changing their personalities and looks
So
as life goes on.
So basically, you are saving or condemning an azakon.
Mm-hmm.
by
And
your own-
yourself.
Boy, that has tremendous ethical implications, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow. Because does like if you influence a good azakon and they get better and better and you get better and better, is there an azakon conventions so that an azakon community so that better and better communities happen?
Well, that happens near the end. Keep going.
Oh, okay, good. Ooh,
Kind of.
okay.
So the changes you can make if you decide to change or whatever, you can go from being good and doing the good things, or you can do bad things.
Mhm.
And at this point, you start doing hurtful things to people, or you can start helping people out more instead of doing more evil.
Yeah.
All right, next.
Okay.
And this also changes the azakon, and they become either evil or good, demonic or angelic.
Yeah.
And they end up influencing you to do either good or bad, depending on which one you changed from, or if you stayed the same.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
Okay. What happens in death? Okay.
In death, you and the azakon either end up angelic or demonic, depending on if you did more good or more bad, or more evil things.
Yeah.
And at this point, you either go with the angelics or with the demonics, and this is why they end up becoming angelic or demonic, is because they influenced you.
Okay.
And you end up choosing the bad and the good. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. Now this helps. Okay. Mhm.
This helps because it becomes more of a habit, just like the nail and the, I forgot what it's called.
Yeah.
But the nail and the battery, or magnet, that's what it is.
Yeah, magnet nail.
Mm-hmm. I want to say battery, I don't know.
That's okay.
But it allows you to react better in situations that may be stressful, or it can help you change to be a better person and do better things, or just be a better you. Yeah. If that involves being evil, then you're a better you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can even save some people's lives by helping them choose what decision to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, should I cross the road at this time, even though the light's green?
Yes. Green light, red light. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is good. Okay.
And it also makes people more accountable too for their actions because they know why they're choosing evil or good actions.
Yeah. Okay.
So
All right.
the
Yeah.
Azakon are still with us and they help us out today. And stories are passed on from the 2020s
Yeah.
down to some people, and some have never seen an Azakon. They've never had an Azakon before. So, yeah.
Okay. But everybody has one. They just may not know
Yes.
it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. Okay, you walked from a game you
Yeah.
played. All right, good. All right.
And I used a combination of my favorite thing that I do, because
Yeah.
my sister was just like, the way I ended up making the name was at first angelic, like a mixture of
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And she's like, well, let's think of something a little better. And I was like, okay.
Okay. Oh, my goodness. Okay. That was the last slide, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well done. Well done. I liked it. You put a lot of good thought, and it all works together, right? Quite well.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for your hard work. I've been looking at your grade score. You've been doing amazingly well in the class. And so I'd like to offer you an A+ for the class. Would that be okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I enjoyed having your class, and you were very helpful with coming back to me and giving me information on what I ended up doing for the homework. So that was helpful.
I'll just pay it forward. That's okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and I'll throw an A+ on the grade sheet for you. And thanks so much for being part of this class. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm going to stop recording. When I make a final cut.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, it wasn't letting me because since you were recording, but now I gave it permission, so it should work.
Okay. All right. It is automatic. It is recording again. So, so now let me make you host.
Okay. Sorry about that.
It's par for the day. It's always been a glitch in just about everything I've done today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. Okay, now it's working. So I'm going to share my presentation and I'm going to.
Cool. The mask command.
Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead, and it's kind of like a story.
Okay.
So I'll just go for it, I guess. So the masked man, who is he? The masked man is a superhero. If he's a villain or a hero, that's up to you, depending on your worldview, but we'll talk about that in a later slide.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Can you see it?
I can. The man who stepped in to help when no one else would.
Yes, perfect. So the masked man is a character that I created. He was an average man. He was an epidemiologist that lived in just Southern California. He grew up there. He realized he was able to predict the pandemic that was coming and the trends it was going to take. He tried to take that to the US officials. No one believed him. He didn't let that get to him, though. He didn't let that take him down an evil path. He kept going with his goodness to help mask the world, basically, but not quiet them, just help them understand the good of masks, basically. He was incredibly intelligent, and that's how he was able to predict the trends that it was going to follow as it came to the United States. And when no one else was taking action back in like January of 2020, when it started to like look like it was coming into the United States, he realized that he had to step up. Oops. There we go. And so why do we need the masked man? The United States became at odds against or between how to, it's not a political thing, but as a trend was made pretty clear against the two main political parties, one way to handle it and one way to handle it, and those were not the same ways. So they couldn't agree, and obviously this was pretty uncharted territory that no one knew how to handle a global pandemic. And so there was a fight against masks or no masks, and the masked man came in and realized that he did his research. He was incredibly intelligent, like I said. He realized that masks were the best way to fight this virus that we know so far. So he came to help when no one else would, of course, as heroes do. So he was not born with this power. He was born with his intelligence, but he came into the role as the masked man. And I'll describe more of how he is, what he looks like later on. But
I think I know who you're modeling this after. This is great.
Okay. I'll be interested to hear.
Yep.
So he came in to help, and everyone thought, well, half the country thought he was a villain. The other half thought he was a hero. People were trying to tear him down. Other people were trying to lift him up.
Yep.
And how did he help? He helped educate the world on the benefits of masks. And he also tried to educate and like reinforce what the CDC had to say about social distancing, hand washing, all of the good things to prevent spread of this virus. He tried to tell the officials his ideas, and they wouldn't listen. So that was another way. It made me think of the part of our presentation about evil, how people come evils little by little, and you could either take the path of evil or you could take the path of good. And he still stayed on his path of good and didn't let the people tearing him down get to him. And he would also help those who did not have masks, even though they wanted to help protect themselves and others. He would provide masks to them. So now worldview. What is worldview? It is our operating system, as you know. Everyone has a different worldview based on where you were raised, who you were raised by. Everyone has a different worldview. You can share similar worldviews with those you love or were raised near. And I thought that was a very important point, and how the trends of this pandemic are going.
Yeah.
Of like people are clumping together with similar worldviews, and those obviously with opposing worldviews are fighting, and it's dividing the country greatly.
Very perceptive. Thank you.
Yeah. And the worldview of the masked man is that of he wants to protect himself and those around him, and he wants to help the world move past this pandemic and this negativity that we've found ourselves in for the past year and a half. And so he is still working to help those, and all of this is in my notes also, just so you know.
Sure.
In great detail. So his worldview, he shares it with half the country, obviously, and the other half have been trying to tear him down. And so the worldview and masks, like I've said, are greatly opposing. And then also people in the world think that COVID is not real. And so they think that the masked man is part of a conspiracy theory, that they're trying to take, that he's part of like a different government trying to take us down. And like, so people are after him basically to quit his good in the world, if you will. Yeah. The good and evil of it all. So what is good and evil? That's different to everybody. Again, like worldview, anything could be good to somebody and anything could be evil, and everyone has their different ideas of it. So the good and evil of masks, obviously there's pros and cons to all of it. But the masked man's main goal was finding a compromise. And what this made me think of was forming a habit. and how it creates its own energy to be sustainable. So
Mhm.
his main goal was finding that habit of like going into the store, you grab your wallet, your keys, your phone, and a mask. So
Yeah.
you tried to educate people on the pros and cons and the myths and educate them against those myths, so that we could find a compromise that would suit everybody. Was he successful? We don't know yet. He's still on his journey. Masks and imagination. So what is imagination? It's anything you want it to be. The masked man and me personally, we could, so when I see someone with a mask, I like to imagine, because obviously you only see the eyes and up. So I like to imagine what the bottom half of someone's face looks like. And that's a fun imaginative little exercise I do when I meet someone new.
Mhm.
It's kind of like a surprise if you're right or not. So what's under the mask for the masked man? He is an about 30-year-old African-American male who grew up in Southern California. He has brown eyes, brown hair. He's tall, intelligent, strong. He is, like I said, he's an epidemiologist. He also is an engineer. So he built himself the suit. He kind of is like Iron Man, in that he was not born with any special superpowers, but he made his own to do better for the world. So his suit is gold and blue. Go Mars Hill. And he has a very big mask that has vents on both sides. His suit can sanitize as he goes, so he cleans as he goes. He dispenses masks, but he himself is protected from the virus. But he is not working alone. So there's a new hero on the rise, and that's the vaccinator.
All right.
And the masked man and the vaccinator are going to team up to end this pandemic. So stay tuned for that. But the vaccinator had COVID himself. He lost his family, sadly, to COVID, and he also had COVID. He almost lost his life, but he didn't. He used his own antibodies to create the vaccine that will hopefully stop the spread and overall stop the virus altogether.
Yeah.
So he will be working with the masked man, because the masked man has realized that masks alone will not stop this virus from spreading. So, excuse me. So together they're working to get herd immunity and to figure out how to get the world back to whatever normal we're going to get to. So the vaccinator is on the rise. Here he comes.
Okay.
And those are my sources. You
All
are in
right.
all of those.
Okay. All right.
Figure out how to stop sharing in just a second.
Can't tell you on your machine.
There we go.
Oh, good. All right. Welcome back. Yeah, when you talked about worldview, I said, this guy's got a science worldview.
Mm-hmm.
That if you're doing masks and trying to operate with data, then you got a science worldview. Yeah. Okay. And all the time I was thinking, until you told me the potential race of the person, I was thinking about Dr. Fauci.
Possibly, yes.
It sounded like a lot of the things you're basing off was Fauci. So anyway, it was really good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this, and certainly a much needed hero or angel for these times. So I think you've fulfilled all the requirements quite well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to stop recording.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, please ask host to give you permission to record. Okay. No.
Hang
Anyway.
on. I can stop recording if you want.
Is it recording on your side?
Yeah, but it says I can stop it.
Yeah, I think but the recording actually comes to me. What I'll do is if we say anything after this, I'll just cut it out of the.
Okay.
Yeah, I can cut that. Have a video editing machine. Okay. let's see here, just looking at your record through the semester. The biggest, greatest part of your, for your score is that you have a perfect score on the test.
Mhm.
You have a lot of 2s, you have some 1.5s. So I haven't seen your notes, but I'm assuming they're okay. So I'd like to go ahead and assign you an A for the course if you do not mind.
I don't mind at all. Thank you.
Okay, so that's kind of instant gratification, but I think you did quite well. You took the course seriously. You understood and you put in the time. So it meant a lot to me.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you.
It was very interesting.
I hope that it changes. Every time I teach, it changes my life. So I hope it kind of changes your life too, for the better.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so. Thank you so much for everything this summer.
You're very, very welcome. All right. And I'll see you on campus, I hope.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We are recording. All right. What I'd like to do is share the screen with you. That is make you the host. Will that work?
Yes.
Okay. Now you are the host.
Now I have to figure out how to share my screen.
What kind of device are you using, please?
Microsoft.
Okay. All right. Now, it should be pretty compatible, but if you need some help, let me know.
Share screen. I think I got it.
You sure do.
Perfect.
The solution.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So go to the slideshow and then the presentation view. Looks like you got right there.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Excellent. All right. Okay. What I'd like to do, Alexa, is just have a conversation with you. And so it's just the two of us. So don't feel pressure if possible. And you and I just have a conversation about this. You present mainly. I'll just ask a few questions here and there as they may come up. Does that sound all right? All right. Take it away.
Okay, anyway, so I did it about education. So some of the background why I chose this is that some teachers are treated just unfairly in school, unappreciated, overworked, underpaid. They spend hours outside of the 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, planning, organizing, having to make sure that they stay on the curriculum and that it also gives their students an education that they're learning. Also thinking of ways to come up with tests, quizzes, ways to have the kids interact because there's so many different kinds of learners that you have to be able to interpret how they act, how they work, how they learn into just one classroom.
Yeah.
High school teachers average about 41,000 per year.
Okay. Yeah.
Being a teacher is just not enough. They tutor outside of work. They work at summer camps. They make extra worksheets for other teachers, for parents, for students to get that extra work in. They even work during summer classes or even like adult classes just to make some extra income. Without teachers, it would harm students and the public education as a whole, meaning no one would have the knowledge to survive on their own, be able to raise a family, and they would be in debt and they would have no idea what to do. They'd be lost, searching for answers, trying to figure out how they can live.
Yeah.
And also sometimes teachers have to go out and buy their own school supplies, so their paycheck disappears on school supplies because sometimes the schools don't even supply it for them. Or sometimes there's a kid in need and doesn't have a lot of money, and they go out of their way and also help and buy them notebooks, pencils, pens, all the stuff that they are able so they can get a good education.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So I decided to do an angel side. This is my angel. It is Greek for education, and it's Expedesophy. She is the angel of education. She has the power of like knowledge, education, all like history, math, science, everything. Her powers are metamorph. So like an example would be
shape shifting.
Yes.
Okay.
What an example would be turning into like a tutor. Like if a student needs help, she goes and helps and becomes a tutor, helps them understand math, or if they have a test for science, everything like that. She can fly, she's immortal, and she can mind read.
Boy, lots of things.
Yes, she's very gifted.
Okay.
Her goal in life is to give children the power of knowledge and the love of learning, like wanting them to be able to love going to school and not dread it every morning, wanting them to know what's going on in the world. Her hobbies include spending time in the library and in schools, of course. Some personality traits: energetic, smart, outgoing, but she can also be shy. She's very careful with what she does, and she's also very beautiful.
Okay.
Okay. And then this is just a little background story of Exodusty. Ever since she was a girl, she always wanted to learn something new. She always was in the library and reading textbooks on the internet, just trying to get to learn more. And so she's just always aware of what's going on around her. She became like this because her parents were unable to receive an education, and she wanted to make them proud being the first to graduate. As she grew older, she started to have information which just came so easy to her that they found out that she had a photographic memory, and and she wanted to use this power for good. The people that she found flying around who wanted to learn and she gave them help and helped them throughout the school years, helped them study, learn to study, give them the knowledge that they needed to continue and go forth with the school years. And the people she ended up helping became teachers, and these teachers learned that there are some bad teachers, and they wanted to make good in this world and show that teachers can be there for you and give you the extra support you need, and it can even be another parent to you, asking for advice, even outside the classroom, asking about a grade, and just having that person there to like glean support on.
Okay. Yeah, like a mentor kind of person.
Yes. Yeah. They wanted to, like I just said, they wanted to give the education they deserved. Sometimes she would even turn herself into a tutor if a kid was in dire need of one, and that's where the metamorph and shapeshifting came in. And she would help them understand what's going on with the lesson, or whatever lesson they're going on, help them learn it, love it, and hopefully continue with that. And she also wanted people to understand the way that teachers see themselves in their own eyes. So one night there was this boy named Derek. Derek was a government official who was not for helping teachers and giving out school supplies. All he was for was being selfishness and his own needs and not others. So one night she snuck into his dream and put him through the life of a teacher.
Wow, cool, very cool.
Yes, that would be very cool. So first she showed him the past. He showed, like, before technology time, how teachers would spend hours in the library reading books, writing down information, gathering notes with supporting evidence, so that they can teach her class for the next day or for the next couple of weeks with the lesson plan. And then she had Derek sitting in a library, a dark room, nothing going on, for hours, just reading through lesson plans and reading through books and textbooks and writing down notes, trying to find just ideas that he can also implicate into his classroom, while also being exhausted. Was her little fairy dust touch. Right.
Okay.
She would have him wake up with little hours of sleep due to having to do lesson plans and getting up early to get to class and having to sort everything out for the next day, having the papers filled out, the pencils out, everything that was going to do everything that the teachers and the students were going to do for that day. The second part was the present. Even though he thought technology was the easiest thing to ever do. Well, what he didn't know was that some websites lie, and you still have to go through they had certain websites that they're allowed to go through, like org, not.com, couldn't, like Wikipedia, they don't use in school because it's just all like gibberish sometimes, that they have to make sure that the sources that they use are classified and proven. He also had to realize that he also had to come up with so many different lesson plans because everyone learns differently. He had visual learners, tactical learners, or listeners, and just had to keep erasing what he had planned because he couldn't come up with one thing for everyone to learn. And then when Expedesi brought him to the future, he brought him to his future house, his family, how he was struggling to make ends meet, and because he realized that he had to put money into his school supplies, into this every year school, all the taxes he had to do, and he had him struggling. So then he realized outside of school, working 7 hours at least a day, 5 days a week, he also had to become a tutor. He had to start looking for making extra worksheets to sell, just so he can make ends meet for his family and not have to worry about it. And then even when that still wasn't working, he realized that he had to start teaching summer classes just to make ends meet. So the fixer, the solution, having one person see a world, like having one person just see what teachers go through can really help. Yeah. They can talk to others, explain what they go through, have them feel sympathetic and empathetic for that person, not just realizing, oh, they look like they're enjoying what they're doing. They signed up for this. They signed up for it because they wanted to do something good, and they wanted to help with someone. So when Derek wakes up from his dream, he realizes what he needs to do. He realizes he needs to go tell the other officials what's going on, because he explains how everyone's worldview on teachers needs to be fixed, because some students hate teachers, some of them love them, some of them, he realizes that some students and parents come at him when there should be no reason, when it's the student failing on his own, not doing the work, and the teachers giving everything they can, because students go home and they go, the teacher sucks, he failed me, all this and that, making up excuses, not giving the real story. And the parents are going to believe the students until they hear the teacher side. Yeah. Also, he talks about the struggles they go through. He explains what they do, like how the school supplies, doing the extra money, extra tutoring, extra worksheets, all that is because they just need to just make a living, and what they make now just isn't enough. And he was saying, if you imagined yourself switching school, like you and a government official and a teacher, such different jobs, both have so much that time and effort that needs to be put into it. And he guarantees that if you do it and you become a teacher, even a student teacher for a day, you will see what they face inside and outside the classroom. Yeah. And then my references.
Okay. Wow. Sound like you had a good time here.
Yes, I enjoyed the class.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let me try a note to my. Okay. My main question is, and you know, I love this. Thank you. My main question is, how do you pronounce your demon's name? Angel's demon? Your angel demon?
Excefi.
What?
Excefi.
Except. Yeah, I shouldn't read. I should be able to read the Greek better than I do. Okay. Yeah.
Excefi.
Okay. Is it she or he?
She.
Okay. How does she get summoned? Who summons her? What conditions trigger her coming?
So what can trigger her is just because she loves teaching and she loves education. So if she sees a student in need, she'll go down, see what's happening, study them, learn what's going on, like how they learn, how they act.
Okay. And where does she live?
She doesn't really have a place to live. She just flies everywhere helping. She's kind of like a guardian angel.
Okay.
She just flies around one kid after another trying to help them.
Okay. All right. I think I cut you off. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Okay. All right. Well, that's my major question. How does she get activated? What activates her? And so that helps. Okay. Well, are you in education?
Yes, physical
Okay.
education.
All right. Well, then I think your idea of having people switch roles for a day, or walk a mile in somebody else's shoes is a really good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, I learned it from being a server, actually working. When I was a teenager, I used to be like, oh, they have it so easy. And then now when I actually became one, I'm like,
Oh,
wow.
in a restaurant?
Yes, it's a
Oh,
lot
my
more
goodness.
than I thought it ever was. Like,
Yeah.
didn't realize they only made money off of certain tips and
Yeah.
getting paid $2.13 an hour.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, thank you. And you have some, okay. So if you upload this to Moodle by 11:59 tonight, that'd be great.
Do I need to put the visual over it or no?
What do you mean by the visual?
Like audio.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I try to make that plain as much as possible. And as long as you present it to me, I've captured the audio because I'm recording it right now.
Okay.
So I've got the audio. All you need to do is just save this in its current form and then upload it to Moodle, and you're good to go.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Stop
Thank you so
sharing.
much. And okay. And if you'll give me back actually when we leave the audio, the visual will come to me through Zoom. So don't worry about it.
Okay.
So, all right. I guess that's goodbye for now.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Looks like you're back.
Okay.
Can you see your PDF?
Yes. Okay. So it sent it to you in okay.
Okay. All right. Let's see if I am recording. Okay. Yes, it's recording. Okay. All right. I love this. Let's walk me through it, please. You're on.
Okay. Okay. So let me get my monitor so then I can look at the big screen too. Okay, here we go. Okay, can you hear me?
Very well. Coming.
Okay.
All right. Deep breath, lots of confidence. Let's do this.
All right, so I did my presentation for social media and how I think it's a way of kind of evil in our world trying to be advertised as like, oh, it's a great thing, when in reality, it can be a huge distraction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next.
And then
next
the
page.
next slide.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I've had social media. I have it on my phone, but I like deactivated it, and it's just not something that it's not in my daily life. I stopped using social media. Like I would do like fasts, and I would quit for like a week, and then I'd be like, well, like it was a week, so I did a week and I'm going to go back on it. And then I got to a certain point where I just really was just like, I'll just take a break. And it's kind of like, if you stop eating sugar for like 21 days, you don't really crave it as much. That's how it kind of was for me with social media. I stopped doing it, and I got to like 3 weeks and then a month, and I'm like, I don't want to go back on it. I'm kind of done with it. So I felt that it was kind of freeing. I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't feel pressured to post or, and I didn't like waste my time. It was just more of I just didn't want to do it anymore. So I stopped.
Okay. Congratulations.
Next. Thank you. So how it can be kind of useful in a negative way. And I think this is what, like the devil and evil wants us to do. And I think that social media came at a perfect time in our world because we're comparing ourselves to others. We care about what others think. And I think with being on social media, it takes away from actual reality. You see people who are posting like, oh, life is so great for them. They look so good. They've lost weight. They're in, Costa Rica having a good time. When in reality, they may not be that happy. They may not even be in Costa Rica.
Yeah. With their perfect kids.
Yes. Life is never that perfect. And you can see in the picture below, like how editing, I mean, this isn't even that bad. It looks relatively natural, but usually it's not even close to that. And then the poor kid on the top I hope it was his first time using Photoshop, but he obviously messed up a little bit there. I feel so bad for the kid. All right, next slide.
All right. Thank you.
And I think there's a lot of like pressures of social media. You have, fitting in and you want to, look good and you want everyone to think that you're having, the best time. And then I remember when I had social media, like if I was going somewhere like really nice, I'd be like, oh, well, I have to post a picture today. I have to let people know that I'm, here and then I'm doing this and then I'm with these people and, I've graduated, I'm successful, all this stuff, when it's just in reality, no one really cares. I mean, I think people realize and just like, oh, well, I have to post or else people are going to think something's wrong. And really no one's sitting around waiting for that.
Yeah.
And you can see with the picture, I think they're doing this to be funny, but I think it's kind of, that's a reality. Some people completely change the reality of a picture when they could just be in their house when they want it to look like they're in, Antarctica.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, next slide. Yep. So I did a little bit of research because I thought that there would be a lot more people on social media, but it says only 50.64% of the world has social media, which I thought it would have been a lot more than that. And then it says 70% of Americans are on social media. And that made a little bit more sense because if we're not counting, like kids who are way too young or people who are older that aren't on it.
Yeah.
But that graph on the bottom just really, that surprised me. And it kind of makes you think like people are wasting years of their life on their phone. They could be missing something right in front of them.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I hear that Facebook has over 3 billion users and with nearly 8 billion people in the world. So that's 3/8 right there.
Crazy. It's crazy. It's just a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Next.
Yep. Okay. So for my creature, it's almost like a fairy bug type thing that you can install on a computer or your phone. And he comes and blocks off all the negative things about social media and kind of like the comparison. And he also limits your time and analyzes your daily schedule to determine how much time you have for social media.
Okay. Is this going to be in an app itself, like is your
I guess it can be like installed or just like you just say out loud like I want the fairy bug and then it's on your phone.
Okay. So is this all right, so is it great. Okay.
All right. And then his background is he was created in a lab for people who were really social media world like Facebook and Instagram and realized the negative outcomes of it. So it's a way for him to kind of get into your phone. He's active all the time and he can be on any phone at any time. He's not just like on,
really? Oh.
so he's always there. And
Okay.
then next slide.
All right.
So I kind of thought of how I feel that social media is kind of a distraction. And I think that's exactly, I think the devil does things at the perfect time and evil comes in exactly when we're weak. And I think in this time right now, you know, the world is in a weird spot. And I think all social media came at like the perfect time as a distraction of what's going on around us and what we're missing. So I kind of stumbled across the passage of Luke 10, and it was where Mary and Martha, Jesus went to their house, and Martha was just going around cooking, completely distracted about, you know, what was right in front of her. And she was all worried about everything else, but what really mattered. And Mary, you know, was dwelling with Jesus and, you know, at his feet and kind of dwelling in his love and not missing what was right in front of her. But Mary was distracted by other things and allowed other things to get in the way of, you know, the most important thing right in front of her. And she missed it. And I think that's kind of what social media does, is it distracts you from reality. And there's good things about social media. I think there are. I think it's a way for people to connect. I do think it's good in some ways, but I do think it's mainly used as a distraction for people.
A time passer in waiting rooms or in parking lots. Gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well done. Okay. Let's see. Next one.
I think that's just the works cited. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Good. All right. Okay. Let's stop the share. All right. Really enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. This is really good. I can already tell. I mean, your test score was not the best, but it's not fatal to an A. Okay. You've done everything else quite well. You've done lots of hooks. So I'd like to offer you an A- for the course.
Okay.
That be acceptable?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay. Well, your presentation was right on and just perfect. And so thanks so much.
All right. Thank you. Is this the last thing that we need to do? Is there another test on?
There's nothing else. Just upload your PowerPoint to Moodle by tomorrow night. If you haven't yet done a survey of the course, I think there's a link in your email. Just please do that and tell me where to go and how fast to get there.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
I appreciate this time with you. Bye-bye.
You too. All right. Nice meeting you.
Okay. Bye-bye.